So it's just gonna like as soon as 1 o'clock, it's gonna push. It should be live on YouTube, but on X, okay. I've got it timed.
Okay.
So like any second now, it'll go live. But yeah, no, that would be great. Just like any of those screens, because I don't have those screens.
Yeah, I have the presentation here. We can go over it.
All right, so we are live on this historic. I was going to say January 1st, on December 1st. XRP is absolutely ripping right now. It's flipped Solana. It overtook Solana, which isn't a shocker to me. I knew that was inevitable, that was going to happen, because XRP isn't built on a house of cards. And as you can see here, so I've got chain stats open, and you can see, so I've got the order book open, and you can see that there is a lot of buy orders right now. So I don't think that XRP is at risk of dumping anytime soon. How high it continues to go, who knows? It probably, I'm thinking, is gonna make an all-time high. But right now, that there's definitely a lot of support zone around $2.12 to $2.14. I mean, you can see the order book is just stacked right here, and this is this green area that you can see. And what is exactly driving a lot of this narrative? Well, a couple of days ago, it was announced that Ripple was set to be approved as a stablecoin. And I think they had a launch date on here. Now this is, the news, so we don't actually know, but XRP is ripping. And they're saying December 4th is when this approval is likely to take place. So, that's just in a couple days, right? That's on Wednesday or something. And Ripple is an alternative to Swift, but we know that the big bad banks, most of them are against crypto. So you have people like Elizabeth Warren and her best buddy here, Gary Gensler, were trying to stop the progress of crypto for years. But what changed this year was there was swift justice at the polls. In overwhelming fashion, the American public voted for crypto. Like, that was the party, because you saw bipartisan effort like never before. There was more pro-crypto candidates on both sides of the aisle. I mean, this is a bipartisan effort. You had Republicans and Democrats coming together in historic numbers for Congress. And you also have a president-elect who's also said, he is pro-crypto. So I think it's safe to say that XRP will likely return to an all-time high. I think that's a pretty safe bet. We could possibly see a pullback here, because this is unbelievable gains we're seeing. But I don't think it's dropping below $2. And you can see the order books here don't lie. I mean, there is a ton of support right here along with this.
And man, I suck at technical analysis, like I have no idea how to read it. But what I do like about XRP is their story, right? Like they went through the bear market with a heavy lawsuit on top of them, and they were able to come back from it. They're rocking the markets. They are really well positioned to become really relevant in this industry, and I think it showcased the potential for deals on the enterprise side. If they're flipping Solana, which is essentially focused more on a B2C, right? And these guys
Mhm.
do work with enterprise, and they have clear focus there. And it's really cool to see that narrative just blowing up with these older coins or Dino coins, like that's the new name, right? It's the Dino coins here. So it's amazing to see this with XRP, definitely. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see. I mean, this happened, I think, back in May when the stablecoin market actually overtook DeFi, and I think that this is a narrative that's going to continue. Like, I don't think that this is, I don't think that this is hype, and I don't think this is just a phase. I think from here on out, the entire crypto market and the entire blockchain space is going to be completely different. It's going to be driven by like, I don't want to say like regulated assets, but the days of the Wild West and the days of pump networks like Solana are over, and people are sick of it. Because millions and millions of people get absolutely destroyed by networks like that. There's obviously a place for that. Like, Las Vegas exists for a reason. People like to take risks, but there's more people, and this shows by the data. I mean, the stablecoin market right now is almost $200 billion market cap. It's over the DeFi space, right? So I can switch over here. So this is DeFi, total value locked. So we're at 127 billion for DeFi, and you've got the real world stuff primarily right now in stable coins, which is almost $200 billion. And what's going to be driving that is stuff like XRP, which is part of the DeRec alliance. And so that was the topic of the space today. I was going to try to cover a lot of the DeRec stuff. And today, who's joined with me is, you guys may know him if you've been following the Constellation ecosystem. I've got Joao with me, but I was gonna try to get this guy. I noticed his stream the other day where he was talking about Constellation specifically, and he mentioned the stuff with the federal government, and that goes back to the regulated side here. So I've got my DM here opened. I don't think that he'll mind me sharing this. So he's having some internet issues. Starlink, Elon is actually rugging him, so he won't he won't be joining us, sadly, on this adventure down the DeRec rabbit hole.
Now, and I know Pedro is Portuguese also. Like he reached out to me a couple of months ago when he noticed I work for Constellation. So he's invited me to his channel a couple of times. So those guys are really looking at Constellation and the potential and everything we are building. And I think it's a great partnership to reach out to him. He has tons of knowledge about crypto. He's been on the weeds for a long time. So it's a shame that he's not able to join us today. I think it would be an interesting show here, definitely. And he'll probably be better than me at doing some TA on the charts and all of that,
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to have another space, again, where we can just flip back and forth, just to show where the things align and show where support matches a lot of the stuff that's happening. But to me, one of the greatest networks in DeRec outside of XRP is Algorand. Algorand is also part of the DeRec, the Decentralized Recovery Alliance. And for those people who don't know what DeRec is, they're a bunch of networks that have all come together in a collaborative effort to solve one of the fundamental problems in crypto. So blockchain, one of the things that makes it so great is its security, but it's almost too secure in the sense, if you lose your phrase, you're done. Like, you will never be able to recover your assets ever. There's no help center. There's no support desk. There's nobody to help you. I mean, it's 100% up to you to control your keys at all times. But sometimes being able to control that is out of your hands. I mean, like, what if your house burnt down and that's where you kept your keys? You can imagine here the devastation that would happen to somebody that just lost everything. So what the DeRec is doing is they're using crypto in a way to be able to have people recover those assets. And so I'm just going to like completely simplify it. 𝗏𝗀, maybe you can jump in with a little bit more technicals. But so essentially what they're doing is they're splitting up that seed phrase. So a portion of that goes out to these trusted people. So maybe a trusted person could be the bank that you bank with every single day. Maybe a trusted entity could be your work. It could be maybe your mom or somebody. And so if for whatever reason you lost your keys and needed to be able to recover that, you can go back to these trusted individuals and get pieces of your keys back to where you became whole again, and then you are able to recover your assets.
Exactly, and the way it's being built, it guarantees that none of those guardians, I think that's the name they're using, alone can rebuild your key. So you are the only one that can get your key back completely. So it's a safer approach, and you don't lose the risk of either losing your seed phrase or saving it in a place that's not safe enough. Maybe you put it on a notepad on your computer, which you shouldn't. And so this way you have some trust assurances that your key will be available, and you can sleep at night more comfortably. It's a very good effort, and it's really needed, especially if we plan to onboard the next billion users. I think we need to have solutions like this. I know Ledger is offering a paid service really similar to this. It's more centralized. It's more of a black box there. You don't really know how they're managing it. And the idea here is to create a more transparent and decentralized way to manage your keys or to recover your keys.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of like individuals, right, which would be devastating. I've pointed out in the past that while the Amazons of the world, the NVIDIAs, the Apples, and all the trillions of dollars that they're going to unlock in the future, because everything will be tokenized. The much larger piece of that is everybody else, like the small to medium-sized businesses and just individuals. But in order for there to be buy-in from those big entities like the NVIDIAs, the Apples, Amazons, and like all these people, I mean, you can imagine them if for whatever reason, like there was a guy managing all the assets and his laptop got fried or something. I mean, you could see the devastation there, where these companies could potentially lose trillions of dollars. And so this DeRec alliance is solving a real problem that will help propel the entire industry forward. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that is going to take the adoption of digital assets to the next level, and this is absolutely necessary. And outside of DeRec, which you can see here, you've got Algorand, Cardano, Hedera, Ripple, XRP Labs, and yes, Constellation. So when you guys mention DeRec, I see you guys mention DeRec a lot, the people online, but everybody for whatever reason treats Constellation as the redheaded stepchild. But they're a part of DeRec also. But to get into Algorand, I covered this a little bit in the summer. You know, these guys have what I would consider, and it's something that I hope that Constellation can mirror at least. I don't think, I mean, to my knowledge, I don't think any network in the entire blockchain space has more real world adoption. You know, that's the kind of term, that's the term that I like to use. I don't really like to use real world assets, because a lot of the people in this space, in the real world asset space, just hype up stuff that doesn't really have, there's nothing there. It's just hype trying to get you to put your liquidity in, and then you know, you get wrecked. But Algorand, they have, to my knowledge, the most real world adoption out of any blockchain, period. I've got their page pulled up. So this is the Algorand Foundation talking about a lot of the things that people have missed. So there's a partnership with the UN. That's pretty amazing. I believe it's like educational resources. And going back to Constellation really quick, they're also going to be part of the UN via the Global Blockchain Association, and then staking rewards. So this is actually coming up this month, and I think this is going to open up the door for a lot of opportunity for anybody, because the staking rewards is open up to anybody. Anybody can participate, and this actually right now is actually an advantage over anybody in the DeRec alliance, because you know, so Constellation, you can run a node, but you have to be approved to be on the mainnet validators. There is a waiting list, but this is an incredible opportunity for people.
And they sorry, Daniel, they have an interesting story there, because it's even what Woods spoke on a live he did with Ben and Alex, is that at Algorand they are not afraid to test and then iterate or pivot to other solution. I think this is like their third attempt at the governance or what to do with the token, because I remember I worked previously for a project that was actually building on Algorand. So I tracked Algorand closely for quite a bit of time. And the way they started was like you would receive like staking rewards just for holding algo on your wallet. That was their first way to do this. Then the second one, they moved more of as a governance approach, where you would need to commit, like lock your algo for governance every 3 months. And then you need to vote on decisions that the foundation would put for people to vote on, you know? So that was the other attempt. And then it seems like they are now swapping to this new approach where you can stake your Algorand, which is interesting to see them trying and adapting to what the market wants or what makes more sense, you know?
Yeah, and like, so here is an Algorand Explorer, just to show people the kind of stuff that's on chain right now. I mean, you have 292 tons of soy that was tokenized. Like that's crazy, right? I mean, that to me is just mind-boggling, that's happening on a daily basis. I mean, not 292 tons daily, but this kind of stuff. You got Lofty, which is tokenized real estate, so people can buy shares of properties and get fractionalized ownership of not just like homes, but they have like strip malls that you can buy a piece of, and that's amazing too. The other one is let me see, this airline. Switching back over to their page here, TravelX. So TravelX, they do tokenized airline tickets, and so you know it's like millions of people use this stuff every single day, and they just onboarded a new partner. This airline, this in Mexico. Let me see if I can go back over to the latest, because and while that refreshes, we can go back over to this other screen where this 𝗏𝗄𝗃 here, like these guys are in Afghanistan, and it's crazy. Like this to me, it is a pretty wild number. So 30% of all the electric bills in Afghanistan are paid by this network. Like that's a lot of money. I think it was something like $30 million a month. And outside of that, you can buy like phone minutes. I mean, just this entire ecosystem. There's just so much going on this ecosystem. It's a little ridiculous that this doesn't get the attention that it does. It sort of gets lost in the hype of, like the Solanas out there, right? And one of the advantages that this network has, and I was on a space the other day with John Allen Woods, and this goes back to the regulated environment, is they're one of the few networks that is actually quantum resistant. So Bitcoin is not a quantum resistant network. Ethereum is not a quantum resistant network. Solana, sure as shit, is not a quantum resistant network, but Algorand actually is a quantum resistant network. And I think going forward, that's something that you're going to hear an awful lot about, because just about every single day we hear of stories of hospitals, different companies, government entities getting hacked. You've got malware and ransom stuff. And so it's going to be a big thing. And because these computers are getting more and more powerful, and it's just a matter of time before these supercomputers and quantum computers get good enough that they can actually break quantum encryption. And outside of that, one of the other things that is an advantage that Algorand has over something like a Solana is this instant finality. So being able to, and this is why you have adoption by people like the Bank of Italy, or I'm going to switch back over here to this. So this was a big announcement. This came over the summer, right? So they're going to have like basically the tokenized euro. What else? What else are they doing? I mean, Algorand is doing so much stuff. It's ridiculous. I think MasterCard is piloting using Algorand in Australia. So Algorand is definitely one of these networks, one of these utility networks that it's going to be a big winner. One of these Dino tokens that's going to be a big winner next cycle.
And their tech is really, really interesting. The way they approach smart contracts is it's way better than what happened in Ethereum. So I think these guys have a lot of potential, and it showcases that not only that they're really supportive for people that are trying to build on them. So I mean, Algorand is definitely an example of what you should do, and I hope like with this new bull market, those guys are able to achieve what they want.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're going to continue to see stuff from Algorand. That's just what I think. Outside of DeRec, like I said, there's a lot of crossover with the technology that's already happening. Like I said, they've got that partnership with the United Nations. They're doing stuff in India, for example, with healthcare. I know that when was it? It was on November the 19th, I believe, at the Global Blockchain Association Summit, where you had members from the National DigiFoundry up there speaking. And specifically, it was U.S. Treasury, National Science Foundation, and Space Force. And one of the things that they actually talked about that they had tested with this secure information sharing was healthcare records. So, there's definitely a play there, at least, because, 𝗚𝘂𝗲𝘀 is doing stuff with healthcare and in India. So yeah, 𝗚𝘂𝗲𝗀 is definitely one of these networks that that I expect that we're going to see a lot more of in the future. Let me see what else, if I've missed anything. I mean, I could do an entire space here on 𝗚𝘂𝗲𝗀, because just this network is so deep, and they're literally in everything. But getting back to one of the other ecosystem members, let's talk about Constellation a little bit, since I have you with me, and I'm not going to abuse the time here.
And my favorite member of DeRec Alliance also. Who knows,
Yeah,
with a lot of potential.
All right. So I just pointed this out actually earlier because somebody was asking about the DigiFoundry. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're not aware of the work that the National DigiFoundry is doing. So these were the three people that were at that Global Blockchain Summit on November 19th. You had National Science Foundation, you had Space Force, and you had the U.S. Treasury. And specifically, they were talking about a lot of the work that was done within these working groups. So each one of these working groups is tasked with, a specific problem with digital assets. And so that's the other thing that I really hope that gets hammered in moving forward, is there's this whole world of blockchain and distributed ledger technology outside of the meme coin casinos. Because crypto is beyond just tokens, and this secure information sharing. Some of the things that they did was testing the sending of healthcare records. One of the things that they also did via this financial product tokenization working group, the United States Treasury is part of this, and they tested sending cross-border payments. Now, I thought for sure that would have gotten picked up and covered by all of the news, but it wasn't, for whatever reason. And you can see here the financial product tokenization working group. You can see here this is not a Solana address. This is not a Bitcoin address. This is a DAG address. A DAGRIS. Yeah, and so just like 𝗚𝘂𝗲𝗀 doesn't get the credit that they deserve, Constellation, in the same vein, doesn't get a lot of the credit that it deserves. And the problem that I have with that right now is pretty soon I think things are going to get really, really interesting, and a lot of people are just going to get caught off guard because they're not aware that all of this stuff is happening.
Like my theory for this is that, first of all, it's not as sexy as like, oh, it's the next new coin and everything that's happening. But it's also that it's not like so touchable, So when a regular person reads about this, there's not a lot you can do, right? Like the same thing when we announce we are working with Panasonic, when Beagles comes up and shares more news about our work on enterprise and federal. Unfortunately, like the regular user cannot do anything without information. They cannot participate directly, or there's not a website where they can go and play something related with that. While when you look at what's let's say bombing on Web3s, you had the NFTs, you have the meme coins. That's something that people can work on top of. So I think that's what happens here is that you end up having this enterprise narrative or this kind of news taking a little bit more time to appear or to rise than what we would expect or want,
Yeah, well, I mean, but the thing to me is like, all of this, and there's been plenty of news articles about this since they joined the National DigiFoundry back in, I think it was first announced in December, so it's been almost a year, a year. When this was announced, right? And this is also important, I think, for people to realize is there's a token associated with it. There's the National Digi Token, and every member in the National DigiFoundry, which includes National Science Foundation, Treasury Department, all of these guys are holding a Stargazer wallet. Now, if for whatever reason you didn't want to believe any of the news articles that have come out about this, or even on this website, you can actually head over to the Constellation Explorer, and you can actually see yourself. Like, here's the National DigiFoundry's metagraph, and there it is. And look, just a few seconds ago, there was a snapshot. So like, like this stuff is real. It's on chain. It's happening. It's not vaporware. It's not hype. This is a fact. And it's all on chain.
Yeah, and they're building and they're experimenting with one side of crypto that I think it's interesting, which is try to come up with different new ways of governance. So I think it's really exciting to see what they come up with, and definitely it will end up being an example in the future for other kind of groups that want to follow similar footsteps that the DigiFoundry is trying to do. So, I mean, I love that they chose Constellation to be doing this. I love that they have the Stargazer wallet and they are using it. I can just wait to see what more comes out of it.
Yeah, and then you have 𝗂𝗵𝗃, which again, it's pretty funny to me that especially after October 24th at high def, when this was first announced, that you didn't have more people take this network seriously, because 𝗂𝗵𝗃 is essentially the foundational layer that almost every LLM is built upon. 80 to 90% of the data that ChatGPT uses comes from 𝗂𝗵𝗃. To me, it's just mind-boggling that after that was announced, more people didn't sort of recognize that there may be more to Constellation than meets the eye, right? The fact that Constellation was able to scoop up these people should have gotten a lot of people to take notice. And then outside of that, well, actually on top of the news about Common Crawl at High Def, it was announced that, and I've showed here, let me see if I can pull up this picture. It's actually, the name has actually changed now. It was, before it was called 𝘂𝗲𝗀𝗀𝘀, but now it's called Trace AI, and it's part of it's part of Forward Edge. And again, ever since it was first announced that Forward Edge was part of at least part of the National DigiFoundry, I've done a lot of deep dives into them. People should really take a look at Forward Edge, because they're actually one of the leaders in AI. And not only are they one of the leaders in AI, they've got tons of patents, but when it comes to the work with the federal government, they're actually right in there. They've got tons of contracts within the federal government. Okay, here we go. So this is what I was talking about. So I mean, just look at the stakeholders here. You know, you've got the National Science Foundation. And then I can actually one up this, because so this was at High Def. I can pull up the new one that's actually on their website, and then I will do a little bit of speculation here. I will do a little bit of speculation, because I actually don't. Hold on. Okay.
Well, while we bring that up, going back a little bit with Common Crawl, I mean, it's really exciting that they're working with us. You know, it's such a good example of what our attacks enables, and essentially what we are doing there, very simplistic, is we are validating the internet, right? So we have all their data, we are creating proofs, we are storing those proofs on the metagraph, and basically we are allowing anyone that's going in the future to leverage the data from Common Crawl to make sure that that's exactly the data that they crawled, and that it was not tampered with, it did not change, which I think it's a really important thing, because more and more we are relying in these AI models, or these AI agents, and we need to make sure that the information they are drinking from is the real information and it was not tampered with, right? Because otherwise what's going to happen is anyone could just go there and rewrite your history. And now the AI agent is going to be built leveraging that rewritten history to the benefit of who knows who, you know? And so creating this assurance layer, if we want to call it like that, through a metagraph, and having that stored on a public blockchain that anyone can check, I think really adds value to what Common Crawl is doing with their with all the data they crawl, you know? So for me, like, the vision would be something similar to, we are validating the data from Common Crawl. It's almost like they had like this check mark that says validated by Constellation Network, you know, and to try and come up with this solution where that stamp of approval and validated by Constellation means like something really strong. So I love that Common Crawl is working with us, and I think it's a really exciting opportunity. Everyone should be excited with this. It's a lot of data that they have, and it's a perfect example of what we are able to do.
Yeah, let me go. Yeah, and I'll jump in on Common Crawl in a minute here. I just like, so here, I mean, look, these are the participants here in Trace AI. So the commercial partner here is Constellation. So just like Common Crawl, you know, they could have chose to build their blockchain on any blockchain, but they chose Constellation's blockchain. And one of the reasons why they chose to build on Constellation's blockchain is, you know, because it's a scalable network. It's also a DAG, so a directed acyclic graph, or you know, just any graph model is actually perfect for AI. And getting back to what he just mentioned here about all these different agents. And so this is kind of like what you're seeing here. So here's the 𝘂𝗽𝗋 metagraph. And then here's all these different agents that are run underneath that. And then you can see here that each one of these agents, has like a specific task, and they have different roles. You can either get unsupervised or supervised learning, and then reinforcement of the behavior. And all of this is running on blockchain. And being able to have validated, verified proof is going to be important. But I also believe that it's going to be a requirement, because now you have things like deep fakes where it's impossible to tell the difference between like what's real, like what's a real image, and then what's a fake image. And when you're talking, especially when you're talking in the political sphere, I mean, you can imagine how things could get out of hand if there was some sort of viral video of like Trump, when he becomes president, saying he's gonna nuke North Korea, right? When he didn't say it, it was just a fake video. So I think moving forward, you're going to see, especially politicians, all of the video that comes from them, like from an official source, is going to be validated on chain. Anything that these government officials do, like a document, it's all going to be notarized and validated on chain, because that's how we're going to stop this fake news. And then going back to like what I was talking about, the speculation. So there's Trace AI. It's not really an open secret that they're building. Like I said, they announced at high def that they were building, and then before that, in the summer, Forward Edge AI announced that they were partnering with Constellation. So here, I wanted to point out to somebody this. So here's this Metagraph token that's actually been on the network for a while. I think it's been on since at least this summer. And you can see that they're doing transactions. They've got the validators, and just a few seconds ago, it was doing. It submitted a snapshot, but we don't know what this is. Now, what I think this is I think this is Trace AI, and the reason why I think that it's the Trace AI metagraph is because in this video here that was presented at high def this summer, they showed that they are live, that they've been doing test transactions. And so see, there's the snapshot fee. So, I mean, who knows? But, I think it's pretty exciting. Whether or not this is Trace AI's metagraph, I don't know, but we do know that Forward Edge AI and Trace AI are going to launch a metagraph. It'll be pretty exciting whenever that does come to fruition. But what we do know, like what Joao was just talking about, is Common Crawl. So Common Crawl announced that they are building a metagraph on top of Constellation's network. And for those of you guys who don't actually know what Common Crawl is, they're one of the largest web crawlers in the world. I mean, literally billions of pages get added every single month. And all of this stuff is going to be validated on chain because, it's important. You have to know where these models are getting the data from. And, when it comes, at least from like a government side, I think you're going to have to show where this data is coming from, because you got to be able to trust the model. And there's, I think eliminating these black boxes is going to be important moving forward. And so the fact that Common Crawl is building a blockchain on top of this network is a really, really big deal. And on December 19th, so we're a couple weeks away, Ben announced on X in a post that he's going to be talking about this. So I would mark your calendars, because this is a big deal. The fact that this stuff is happening on this network and not other networks.
It is a very big deal, and I think it has the ability to set the standard, as you're saying. The standard that data that's being used by AI models needs to be validated. You need to know that the data that's there, it's exactly that data that said it is. So I think that it's a necessity that we will have. I think we already have it, but I think it will become more and more common for us to maybe find issues where actually an agent was trained on data that's not real or was tampered in any way. And as we integrate those technologies more and more in our life, when we start bringing it to our our kitchen, to our cell phone, I think it's more and more important that we know exactly what's behind it. And that's where we want to put Constellation. We want to be the ones validating all that.
Yeah, and the other thing that's going to be good too is you're going to be able to validate and participate in a lot of these networks. Like Common Crawl is going to be a network, and like Panasonic is going to be a network, and that's the other thing that gets lost in a lot of people is these are all different blockchain networks, and there's going to be delegated staking coming up. And so I'm going to go back to Algorand, because I think right now this is something that's pretty massive, that's coming up for them anyway. The fact that it's opening up and the opportunity for anybody to provide consensus for the network. So it's going to be completely open. You're going to get rewards, and there's no lockup period. So that to me is a big deal. I don't know if you have you were on a stream a couple of weeks ago, right, with Solomon and Ginfinity talking about the packet swap and delegated staking. Yeah, I don't know if you have any of those slides.
Yeah, I can share it here. So I can share my screen here. Let's see. Yes, I can. So let me know when you're seeing my screen. Okay, these are the exact same slides.
Yeah, boom.
Right. So we talked about a little bit the opportunities with packet swap, especially regarding the node validators here, is that we are looking to have 100 spots to run a node validator on packet swap. And this 100 spots is what's going to guarantee that this protocol or this metagraph is completely decentralized, because it's one of the legal requirements is that we don't have the ownership, and also it's important that it's running in the decentralized fashion. So the more nodes we have, the better, and of course it helps support packet swap running. And so the idea here is that we are going to be opening 100 spots, and the big news is instead of you using a single token as collateral, we really wanted to find a way where we want node validators to be contributing to the success of packet swap. And all the success of any DEX relies on how much liquidity it has, because people choose their DEXs either because they support their tokens or because when you are going to trade whatever token, you have like good liquidity, so you get the best trading options and the best price for you. So the more liquidity, the better. And what we thought here is we, due to our flexibility at Constellation, we can actually choose what's the collateral or what the requirements are to run a node. You know, you can choose whatever you want. You can maybe drink from an external data source. We want people from this database that are tagged here. These are the only ones that can have it. Maybe people that have an NFT on Ethereum are the only ones that can run a node. And so in here, what we decided is, if you want to run a node, you'll need to contribute to PacketSwap, and the best way is to provide liquidity. So as long as you keep 125,000 DAG in value in the DEX DAG liquidity pool, you will be receiving rewards and you'll be able to run a node, which is, I think, pretty unique. I don't know if any other chains are doing, probably like Hyperliquid is doing that, but
But
yeah, that's what we
before
decided.
before you go on, you know, I want to point out something too, because a lot of people think, you know, because we're working with the government, that, you know, it's bad or it's centralized and all that stuff, and that could be actually further from the truth. The government has stated multiple times that they want this thing to be decentralized, right? And before we move forward, I'm just going to emphasize here and highlight, look, the United States Treasury Department is part of this financial product tokenization working group, working on a tokenization engine for the United States, right? And one of the things, so you can see here the research that they're doing. So one of the things that they're doing, and it says it right here, decentralized exchange platforms powered by a DAO. So look, the government is totally open to DEXs, and that needs to be emphasized a lot. And to my knowledge, this will be like the first DEX that's run on a network that's already approved by the federal government. Like that's massive.
And it's going to be completely decentralized. I think we point out during that presentation that the goal is, as soon as we have TG, all control will be passed to the PacketSwap DAO, and they'll be responsible for all the decisions, management, and governance. And so Constellation will have no power in it. It's a completely decentralized exchange. So excited to put that in motion and see how it goes.
And it's fair launch too, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest differences. And you know, you'll always have people that will not be happy with the airdrop, but we try to make it as fair as possible in the means that we can, you know, so that we don't put ourselves in some weird situations. And I think we end up with a pretty good result here, and it's 100% distributed to the community. There's no pre-sale. There's no VCs. The allocation is transparent. You know the allocation before the airdrop is done. What happens with the other airdrops is that you end up to the last day and you only know when you try to do the claim if you are in it or not. And here we decided to open the airdrop to the public. So there are things you can do, there are things you cannot do anymore, like the first snapshot we did, but it's an accessible airdrop. The actions you can do is really clear. You can either hold certain tokens, you can either buy certain tokens, or you can just participate and engage. And it's pretty cool to see the rise in engagement on Twitter since we announced that 𝗂𝗽𝗱𝗁 is going to be part of the airdrop. And I think that also ends up helping everyone in the network, because you have now people posting about Constellation, posting about 𝗂𝗚𝗂, you know, spreading the word out there, and it ends up benefiting everyone. So I'm excited to see. I think we will also start PacketSwap with a very good distribution and very engaged community and token holders, and I think that will end up like really benefiting PacketSwap and the DEX as a whole.
Yeah, and the requirement to run a validator node, you know, and again, I'm going to emphasize, So these metagraphs that are built on top of this network, so Packaswap is its own blockchain, essentially, just to simplify everything. So to run a node on the Packaswap blockchain, on the Packaswap network, you're going to need 125,000 DAG and then 125,000 in the LP. Is that correct?
No. So what's going to happen is we don't know what the ratio is between DEX and DAG, because the price is going to be set by the dynamics of trading of this pair, right? So essentially, there's no way you set the price. Of course, when the liquidity pool is created, depending on what ratio you do there, that's where the price starts. But then the users are the ones, the traders are the ones setting the price, because either they buy more DEX than DAG and then DEX goes up, or they buy more DAG than DEX and then DEX goes down. So what we decided here is you need to have 125,000 DAG worth of a position in DEX DAG LP. Okay, so the total of your ratio, you'll have X amount of DEX tokens and X amount of DAG tokens, and that total needs to be worth 125,000 DAG. Okay, so that's how it works. So let's say the DEX comes out with a price of 125,000 DAG, right? So maybe half of it, let's say. So you would need to have one DEX token plus 62.5 thousand DAG. You know, so half of one, half of the other. That's how it works, and the sum of both needs to be worth 125,000 DAG. That's how it works.
And so from the validator spots, it's initially going to be open up to 100, but maybe you can talk about. So I covered this in the summer with the upcoming Metanomics. I don't know if you have any slides on there about the like delegators, you know, because that again is going to open up you know, possibilities that isn't quite available on any other network. Like anybody's going to be able to provide liquidity to essentially any network. So like if you wanted to provide liquidity to the Packaswap, you could provide liquidity and delegate your holdings to that network. Or, you know, if you wanted to delegate your DAG to 𝗂𝗵𝗃 or Panasonic or Door or Trace AI, or, you know, some of these other networks that are coming online.
Yeah, so I don't have a specific slide, but I think I can explain it here. So with the delegated staking, what's going to happen is you are going to choose which projects or which metagraphs or which nodes you think benefit the network the most. Okay, this is like the utopic approach, is like you're thinking of the network, or you can just delegate to the one that brings you more rewards, whatever you choose. But what's going to happen, let's say Packaswap is going to have validator nodes, Udagnum, you would have like your own validator node for mainnet, and let's say Door also has their validators for metagraphs. Me, João, as a potential delegator, what I'm going to look at is what do I get from delegating to each one. Okay, so maybe you, Dagnum, I take a look at you and I think this guy really contributes to Constellation. He's out there speaking, he does a lot of marketing, he tries to explain, now he's doing like these shows, and what I want to support this guy, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delegate on your mainnet validator, because I know that there's a fee on the rewards that I receive that are going to go towards you. And the cool thing is I'm basically going to fund your efforts on whatever you're doing. And in your case, it would be all the marketing and all the work you do promoting Constellation. Or maybe I don't even care about Constellation. I'm a member of your Telegram group and I want to support your efforts. And a way to do that without any loss for me, you know, is I delegate that to your node. So that's one of the options there. The other one would be, let's say I like Packaswap, and PacketSwap is actually trying to attract the delegation. So the governance and the PacketSwap DAO decided that for every 100 DAG that you keep uh, delegated to me for 1 month, I'm going to give you one DEX token. So I take a look at that, and I'm going to delegate to the PacketSwap validators, because as long as I'm delegating, I'm going to be receiving my DAG rewards plus that extra incentive that governance decide to give me. And why would PacketSwap want that? Because they are getting DAG. So I would be basically getting paid to fund the efforts of PacketSwap, and then of course PacketSwap DAO would decide what to do with that DAG. Maybe some marketing efforts. Maybe they want to increase the liquidity on certain pools, and they can do whatever they want. And then maybe there's Door. Maybe I like that Door has a lot of devices and check-ins. So what I want to do is I'm going to delegate to Door because they can increase their efforts. They are going to put more data on chain, and what I am allowed to speak. It's just about XRP and algo. I'm going to allow Dagnan to speak a little bit more. But yeah, so in this case, what could happen is that I'm actually going to delegate to Door because I see it has potential to produce more snapshots. And we know that with Metanomics, the more snapshots that are produced, the more DAG is going to be put out of circulation. So you can see like the thought a delegator could have is like, am I going to delegate because I want to trigger some effects on the metanomics? Am I going to delegate because I know this part of the network, like this specific validator, works a lot in marketing? Or am I going to be just think about me and I'm going to delegate to PacketSwap because I get more tokens? So this opens up the game for a lot of things. So let's speculate a little bit too. This is my turn. And like, this is just me talking.
Okay.
Let's say 𝗂𝗵𝗃 is launches on mainnet. This part is not speculation. What speculation is what I'm going to say after. And they are non-profits, right? So maybe one way they could start accepting funds would be, oh, I delegate to the 𝗂𝗵𝗃 metagraph. I'm getting my own rewards, but I'm supporting their efforts because they'll be receiving DAG rewards. And this could open the door for other nonprofits to start working with DAG to add more data on chain. And at the same time, it's a way they can fund their operations, which is probably something that worries everyone that works at a nonprofit. It's the goal. Where are we getting the funds to keep this going, right? And maybe that's a way to do it. And maybe that's an incentive for them to pursue different objectives that they didn't think of. Like if I have all these people from Constellation actively contributing to my project, is there a way I can expand my reach? Maybe how would the token fit a nonprofit model? Should I start thinking of having a token here? Like if I provide access to data, should it be through the token? So it opens a lot of options, and it all starts with the members of Constellation community deciding what they want to do with their DAG. So on top of receiving rewards, you can actually either just think of yourself and receive the rewards, or really fund parts of the network and create a lot of potential. So that's why we kind of call it on the Metanomics active governance, because you as a DAG token holder, you're going to be able to trigger or start some different dynamics inside the network.
Yeah, and I mean, you bring up a couple interesting points. I think I kind of addressed some of that issue, like when 𝗂𝗵𝗃 was first announced. I don't know if it was in Telegram or if it was on X. Somebody brought up the point. Well, they're a nonprofit, and it's like, well, duh. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that they can't make money. And
OpenAI is nonprofit yet. I mean, well, they are moving to not be nonprofit, but they are still nonprofits. So
yeah, and I think that this is going to be a model that more nonprofits actually leverage. I mean, they're going to be a trailblazer, I think, in that aspect. But I've got here the Metanomics paper that's on the the website. Talks about the validator fees and different metagraphs and the fees associated with that. So I think earlier I had, I used, so this could be Common Crawl, like you said,
Yeah.
because they're launching a network. I mean, that's a fact. Just like Panasonic is launching a network, like that's like going to be a thing. So you could just replace this with Common Crawl. It's essentially the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
There could be a time, and I mean, it could be Common Crawl, it could be Panasonic, because we don't exactly know how the Panasonic metagraph is going to play out, but there could potentially be a day where the snapshot that they sent out on a daily basis overrides inflation.
Yes. So that's the whole thing about metanomics, and what Alex even presented before metanomics was this idea that all the snapshot fees that metagraphs are going to be paying for their snapshots, they are going to be removed from circulation. So this creates a very interesting effect, and anyone on the community, what you should be cheering for is like, is this metagraph going to produce a lot of snapshots, or like big snapshots? Because that's the thing that's going to create this, or going to trigger this effect on metanomics, that's going to stabilize the supply, which is really, really important. It's going to stabilize, or it could even like reduce the supply of tag. And it's all about putting data on chain. And we decided to incorporate that because for once, a blockchain, you need to be paying in some sort of way, because like you need to contribute to the network. Otherwise, you're just using a product for free, and there are no free products, right? And the other thing is that we want to incentivize this behavior, right? We want more people to put more data, to produce more snapshots. And so a way to do that is to also trigger a good relationship with the tokenomics of DAG in that sense, so that there's a real incentive for us as Constellation, for you as an individual token holder, or for you, Diagram, as Stardust, that all our goal is we want to have projects here that are going to be producing snapshots, that are going to be putting data on chain, and essentially triggering this good effect on our tokenomics of DAG. So every time you see a snapshot on DAG Explorer, I think we should be happy, And the more metagraphs, the more snapshots, and we are working with specific projects like Common Crawl that will be producing a lot of data. Exactly, that part, the network fees.
Yeah, the network fees, and it's all just bringing data on chain, and
Yes.
and validating that data, and that's something, again, that I think gets lost on a lot of people, because when they think of blockchain, they automatically think of like token, right? And like you have to have a token, and it's like, no, you don't have to have a token, and
yes. But on that, I think all projects should end up having its own token, because it's a way for you to decentralize ownership, and it's a way for you to engage your community, or to incentivize certain aspects of your product, right? But I don't think like the main goal should be the token for the sake of a token. It should come attached to a certain objective. So I do like to see like this example of Common Crawl, that it's a project that's leveraging blockchain technology, but it doesn't have a token. It doesn't need to. There's not a place for a token yet, right? But if they feel like, so if they find like there's an active community, if they find like, oh, we have a lot of Web3 people engaging in these certain aspects, maybe that creates the demand, and they feel like, oh, look, maybe there's a certain behavior I want to incentivize, and a way to do that is a token, right? So I think at the end of the day, everything will be tokenized. I think all tech is starting to enable that in a certain shape or form. I just don't think it should be the first goal, but it should be part of the end goals. There is, I need to have a token because I want to engage even more the people I work for.
Yeah, and to give people kind of an idea of just like how big this thing could go. So you can head over to the website, and there's a calculator, right? And so different companies like 𝗂𝗵𝗀𝗀 or Panasonic, or even some of these smaller companies that are wanting to build blockchain applications on this network can get an idea of the associated cost. So you can adjust the snapshot size, and going back to like 𝘗 as an example, because that's a pretty like simple, as in not like I don't want to like oversimplify it, because it's actually doing a whole lot under the hood, but it doesn't use a lot of data, right? Like each one of these snapshots I think is around like 7 or 8 kilobytes per snapshot. But it's doing an awful lot of them. I mean, they're doing like the 𝘗 metagraph specifically. I think when I calculated before, they're doing something like around 2 million transactions a month, which equates to about what something like 20 or 30,000 snapshots. But if you scale it out to like, let's say, a common crawl, which has just an unreal amount of data that they're consuming every single month, or Panasonic, right? Because we still don't actually know what all Panasonic is going to do. I've speculated, there's tons of different Panasonic products. There's so many different verticals outside of like Toughbooks. They make cameras. They make lots of IoT devices. So Panasonic specifically could have, tens of thousands of sensors on the network, right? And so you could easily see, some of these networks exceeding like millions of snapshots a month, right? So I don't know, whatever. We'll stick with 7 million. 7 million sounds like a good number. And so there's no staked DAG. And so this doesn't even take into account delegated staking. This is just like how much is in their network to begin with. And so you can see here that here's the cost per gigabyte, and then this would be the total monthly cost for Panasonic or for 𝗂𝗵𝗀𝗀 if they did something like 7 million snapshots a month, which I think is pretty reasonable, for especially when it comes to something like big data, right? And
you are using a very small snapshot size, like 7 kbytes. It's a really, really small snapshot size.
Yeah,
so that would even jump in an account, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can let's let's go to something like even bigger, right? Because there could be video validated on chain. We talked earlier about validating video, especially when it comes to AI. So here's a much larger snapshot size, and then you can see here that the price the price went up like a whole bunch, right? But this is with 0 DAG staked, right? So let's put in I don't know, like, you think 10? No, there's I know lots of people that themselves have more than that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty reasonable number. Like 100 million staked DAG for a network like Panasonic, I think is totally achievable. So before we saw the cost, and then boom. I mean, that just lowered it like exponentially. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. now to $12,000 for this large data model, like a potential like validating video stuff. But this doesn't even take into account the delegated staking. And so if you put even more staked DAG, I mean, let's up it a little bit more, right? So you got like 1 billion staked DAG. Then the snapshot cost is less than that, and it could actually even get to the point where some of these networks, it's not costing them money. They're actually making money, and that's what I was trying to get at. So like let's lower the snapshot size, right? And we'll go back to the original one, right? Like a small, like a door metagraph, right? And yeah, I mean, look, I mean, like $32 is what it's going to cost them monthly. Like that's ridiculous. And that's the game changer here, is for these networks to have it essentially no cost. And these networks, these businesses, I don't know how important it is for somebody like Panasonic, but for all these small to medium-sized businesses that are going to be coming on chain, because like I pointed out earlier in the space, it's all of those people that actually make up the majority of the economy. So for those people to leverage this kind of ability to bring your business up essentially at no cost and being able to earn rewards from day one, I think is a game changer.
And I think that there's another thing that we could even look just at the calculator, but the calculator doesn't show the whole picture, which is this ends up creating a lot of network effects, right? So when you start having these big names like Common Crawl or even Panasonic as a metagraph, that's going to attract a lot of attention and potentially create the network effect that ends up attracting different projects to even join the network. So maybe when you talk about Common Crawl is going to do whatever number of snapshots, maybe the simple fact that Common Crawl is there doing those snapshots is going to attract 3 or 4 different projects that are going to be there. So now Common Crawl created those extra snapshots for the other projects because they would not be there if Common Crawl wasn't there. So this is a really important thing, is the more projects start joining, the more projects will even start joining. So it's like a snowball effect where it ends up contributing to the tokenomics and to the health of the network. And you can see, man, like 1 year ago we had 1 metagraph, right? Now we have 2 metagraphs with 3 or 4 coming to mainnet. I think we have like 10 on integration nets. I think things are getting bigger, and it's just a matter of time,
Yeah, and I was going to go back to that picture that had it, but the other thing too that you pointed out is I was going to call it like bartering, but like I think lobbyist is a better term, right? So like if you have somebody like a Panasonic, where or maybe even Packaswap, right? That's getting the lion's share of delegated staking for whatever reason. This is where you're going to have the lobbying between these other networks, these other blockchain networks. So to incentivize me to delegate my liquidity onto their network, they're going to have to entice me with
yes,
with something. Yeah,
exactly. That's another interesting dynamic, is because it's such a powerful component for any projects or for any validator to have DAG delegated to them, because they receive a fee on all the DAG rewards that you'll want to attract as much delegation as possible, right? So one simple way to do that is you give out a token in return for that. You just have your own token, you save a little bit to airdrop it to people that delegate. or maybe you are going to start giving early access to certain features, or maybe you're going to be giving away premium features on your product, or you're going to do maybe a lottery of if you have a device, for instance. So there are a lot of ways that anyone that's participating on delegated staking, either a project or a node validator, to attract delegation. Maybe Dagnum would do some like a raffle for a premium Telegram account, something like that. And why not? I like the work Dagnum is doing. I get most of my crypto news from his channel, so I'm going to contribute a little bit and also have the chance to win a premium Telegram account. Maybe that's enough. So I'm really interested to see as more and more projects come aboard, and also as node validators start looking at this dynamic, what they are going to do to attract DAG holders to delegate to them. I have a lot of ideas, but I want to see what everyone is going to be doing. You have any idea already, Dagnum? How you're going to attract liquidity? Just putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about the idea of bringing something like that, right? Because like tying in this 𝗚𝗵𝗽𝗀, right? Which again, is an amazing piece of technology that I don't think gets the attention that it actually deserves. I mean, it's like a super simple thing, but it's actually doing a lot of complicated stuff behind the hood that actually isn't possible on any other networks. I mean, you're getting rewarded for data that's applied in tons of different spots, right? So like right now, you can get rewarded for posting about DAG on X. You can get rewarded for posting about DAG on YouTube. You can get rewarded for swapping a token. You can get rewarded for getting in the queue for a node. You can get rewarded for buying DAG right through the Stargazer wallet, and all those are just different API sources, right?
Yeah.
And so you can imagine, I mean, you can imagine somebody like I don't know, like Coca-Cola, for example. Alan Boehm, he's one of the he's one of our enterprise advisors, right? But he was the former CTO of Coca-Cola. And so, I mean, he's a pretty smart guy, and he's talked about some of this stuff that they have done in Coca-Cola in the past, right? Like giving out Coke points for cell phone minutes, and so you could, Coca-Cola could essentially do that right now if they launched a blockchain on top of Constellation's network utilizing the 𝗚𝗵𝗽𝗀 metagraph. You could post about Coke and get rewarded with Coke points.
Yeah, exactly. Now, 𝗚𝗵𝗽𝗀 it's such a simple idea, and I mean, like the complex part is the network itself, but the code and the metagraph is really simple. So the network makes it really easy for you to get data from external sources. So it's not complicated for a developer to leverage that. All the complicated part was done by our amazing engineering team that developed the network. But the metagraph itself, it's really simple, and the code is public. So anyone can go there and take a look how you're going to get data from an external source, And we did Twitter as a simple way to showcase it. They're going to be releasing YouTube soon, But you could do whatever you want. You can take a look at, maybe you're a company that has a database with some premium users, and as long as they keep their subscription going, you would give them tokens. So that would be an external data source that you could automate to give out rewards to. So I mean, the possibilities are endless. Like anything that you do on Web2 depends on a data source. It's the same thing. Like right now, you can build a metagraph and do whatever you do on Web2 on a metagraph. So I mean, it's everything basically.
Yeah. And like you said, and this is all open source. So like right now I've got
Yeah.
the Constellation GitHub, and here it is. Like anybody right now can just go to the Constellation GitHub repo and take this metagraph example. The code is all right there, and they can just copy it and paste it in their own unique way, leveraging this stuff. I mean, so essentially the work is already done. I mean, you could potentially get your blockchain network up and running in a couple of hours, because all of the work here is already done. And depending on what you want to do with it, you would, maybe just need to tweak a couple of the different examples for specific use cases that are applicable to whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? Like Coke, for example, if we're just going to stick with that, or like Dutch Bros, I think, is another one that I was trying to target online, or Delta Airlines. They wouldn't be interested in XLX swaps or simplex purchases.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or integrating node operator queue, right? Yeah, so they would just replace each one of these functionalities into their own into their own use case. Like if it was a Dutch Bros, for example, maybe if you got 5 of your friends to sign up for the Dutch Bros app, maybe after that you get airdropped, like 5,000 Dutch Bro points, or whatever it is, right?
And I think, like, you can imagine if you're a sports club, right? You could integrate your stadium attendance. So when you cross your tickets on the way into the stadium, maybe you'd get airdropped a specific token for that club. So there's a lot of things that could be done there. The other one is, like, even you as a node validator, if you plan to expand to attract more delegators, you could release your own metagraph, right? Where you'd have your own token, let's call it Dagenham token. And what you could do is put just the code from 𝗏𝗏𝗀. So you would read all the data from who the users are that are delegating, and you could airdrop them monthly a share of your token, so that they are incentivized to stay there. You could automate all the incentives there for people to keep on delegating to you. So I mean, anything that you can think of can be built coming from that example of 𝗏𝗏𝗀.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, this is so I've got the Lattice dashboard, open up, and it's super simple. I mean, all you have to do is have an X account. Like if you want to get rewarded for posting about DAG, come over to the Lattice gateway, log into your account, link your X account, and then put in your Stargazer address, and then bam, then you're off. And you get rewarded for posting about DAG, and you get 𝗏𝗏𝗀. It doesn't get any simpler than that. But like I said, like Coke could even leverage this. So like anybody that posted about Coke could get rewarded in like Coke points, for example.
Exactly. I love 𝗏𝗏𝗀. I love that we decided to make it like a meme-like metagraph, instead of calling like incentivize active engagements 2.0 or something like that. We just went with the meme idea, because everyone was doing memes, but we did one that actually has value, and that value actually goes to everyone that is a DAG token holder, because it ends up supporting the network. It's creating snapshots. It's putting people talking about it on X. It's putting people trying out Lattice. So just a simple metagraph ends up engaging people into several touch points in our ecosystem. And I think this sometimes that is not noticed, that 𝗏𝗏𝗀 ends up making everyone just touch everything we have on the constellation, from swapping, bridging, buying, Lattice, trying to run a node. Everything there translates into 𝗏𝗏𝗀. And so if someone from outside the community is exposed to 𝗏𝗏𝗀, is going to get exposed to everything you can do inside our ecosystem. And I think our objective is, as we grow with an ecosystem, we are going to be adding more ways to participate and to add more value to Alpaca.
Yeah, and there is pools right now. Like there's the I'll go back to here. I just had the other thing up. I couldn't even believe it here. We've got 66,000 people watching, which is pretty crazy.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Jesus. Okay.
But I mean that I think just shows that there's a lot of people that are interested in like real utility, right? I mean, this is pretty powerful. Because moving forward, that's going to be the driving factor, I think. And let me, so I've got that tab up. I've got so many tabs open. I don't want to like close the wrong one, but yeah. So there is like on the Lattice site right now, there is the pools that are open up, right? And it's important for people to realize that there's actually like a bridge. So there's the WDAG to DAG bridge, and right now the APR is actually pretty good. It's 14%. So
that was more 𝗏𝗏 built the bridge with Ethereum, and it launched the wrapped DAG on Ethereum. It's more for DeFi users that want to put their DAG to work and provide liquidity. And so what anyone can do is they can just bridge their DAG to WDAG on Ethereum. They can provide liquidity on Balancer, and when you provide liquidity, you're going to be receiving swap fees from that liquidity pool. So every time someone on Ethereum swaps from WDAG to USDC or vice versa, you're going to receive a fee for that. And we are also allowing you to grab your position on the LP and stake it on Lattice, and you get extra DAG rewards for doing that. So basically, it's a pool on Ethereum. Maybe we have some people from other ecosystems that want to try it out, and they don't want to do the exchange game. They can go through Ethereum, swap USDC or ETH into WDAG, bridge it over to our ecosystem, and stay there. And I think when we launch PacketSwap and it's fully running, this is going to be a very interesting venue for people that want to come to our ecosystem through Ethereum, or people that are in our ecosystem and want to exit through Ethereum without needing to rely on a centralized exchange. So again, trying to start onboarding more people from Web3 and creating these tools that already other networks have, but we were lacking on them, and we are now building them and making them available.
Yeah, and I guess I don't have my wallet connect. Oh, I've got, so that right here, you can see I've got my, this is my Ethereum one connected, because I think I was looking at Alchemy. But yeah, so I do have a position here. I've showed it before. So I tested out. So I've got actually a node's worth of DAG that I swapped over, just because I just was curious to see what the rewards were going to be like. So I bridged over 250,000 DAG to WDAG and staked it, and it's pretty good. But yeah, you can see here. So I'll go up to the account, and so here's the socials getting back to like the PACA and getting reward. I mean, like that's I've got my X account linked, and it knows like how many followers I have, right? And then if you go down, so somebody, so there's no live thing, right? So we don't know who it is, but so there's
been dethroned.
Yeah, I was number one for a while, but
I remember. I didn't know you were dethroned. I wonder who it is. That's funny. Nice.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, this could be there. There's also the Ethereum. You can link in the Ethereum stuff. Yeah, so you can get rewarded for that as well. I mean, there's tons of different ways,
and that will be an important step. We are going to announce how the airdrop is going to happen. But people that hold LTX or DoubleDeck are going to be receiving the airdrop. So there will need to be a way they link their if address with their DAG address, and we'll probably be doing it through Lattice. But when the time comes, we are going to put like an article explaining how to do everything, how it's going to work out, to make sure that everyone receives the airdrop they deserve to receive. But Lattice creating this link, it's a very important tool also for our ecosystem. And let's imagine maybe someday someone launches a project on Ethereum, they want to attract people from Constellation. Maybe they want to reward people with 𝗙𝗵𝗽𝘁 that hold a certain token on Ethereum. They can start doing those kind of things because we have this link between an if address and a DAG address. So there's a lot of potential here, a lot of cool things we are going to be building out and working towards. And I mean, we just launched our first Metagraph a year ago, and we did all this. I just can imagine what we are going to be doing on 2025.
Yeah, I mean, it's once Packaswap opens up, and and then with delegated staking on top of that, that's when I think things are going to get really, really interesting.
Yep.
Because there's so many different ways that companies, and not only companies, but people wanting to build blockchain applications on top of that can sort of leverage this and gamify the whole thing.
Exactly.
Let's see. While we've been here, we're so XRP is
that was surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy to me, so in my opinion, the next one that I think is going to flip Solana, for the same reasons why we were talking about Algorand and all of the things that they've been doing, is Avalanche. We didn't really talk about Avalanche, but they're also a DAG network as well. They're also doing a lot of the things with regulated environments. The California DMV tokenized car titles on the exchange. That was over the summer. It was something like 40 million car titles were tokenized. They're also doing a lot of interesting things with gaming. And these games that are launching on the network, they're actually already live, but the blockchain component of it isn't live yet. But once that does kick in, I think things are going to get real interesting, because people are paying real money for these weapons and the different skins and stuff. And so being able to buy, trade, these NFTs or this kit is going to be a huge thing. And once that kicks in, I think you're going to see like huge growth here with Avalanche. And so
I think like all these big blockchains, I think the bear market is really ungrateful for people that are working, despite everyone that holds tokens, but also for the people that are working at these blockchains. Is like the work keeps on going. Everyone keeps checking in and working and doing their work during the week, sometimes during the weekend. And the bear market has like this very depressive feeling. Seems like nothing makes an effect, But all these companies like Constellation, I'm sure they've been building a lot during the bear market, So if you take a look at each of them, they'll have amazing things to show off for. This is a very big industry, and we are making very big moves. And it's the future. DLT is the future. It's happening already. So I'm sure we'll see more stories of other chains that look like, oh, they died during the bear market, and all of a sudden they're up here. But when you take a look at it, what did they do during the bear market? And there's like a lot of crazy stuff that we're like, oh, I didn't know they were doing that. Maybe that explains it. These guys have been working, And I need to go because it's pretty late here. Pretty late, no, but it's like dinner time. And getting really angry now.
getting hangry. No, hey, look, I appreciate it. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, this was amazing, man. Well,
yeah, lots to dive into. And for those of you, the 68,000 people
nice.
that tuned in, I appreciate you. It's an exciting time to actually be part of blockchain right now, because things are going to get pretty wild here moving forward. I think 2025 is when we're going to see growth like we've never seen it before, because all of the Web 2 side, that I've pointed out, like the NVIDIAs, the Apples, the Microsoft, like each one of those companies, and it's important for people to realize those companies individually are worth more than the entire crypto market. And once that liquidity comes in, I mean, it's going to be crazy. And so I just don't want people to miss out on all of these opportunities that are all around. Because if you're just focusing on, the hype from, like networks like Solana, you're going to miss out, because there's sneaky things happening. And it's going to be exciting to watch. But yeah, thanks for joining. And
of course, man, it was a pleasure.
December 19th. That's when Ben's going to be talking to. Is he going to be talking to 𝗂𝗵𝗃, or is he going to be talking about 𝗂𝗵𝗃? Either way, I would put that in the books. December 19th. He made a post about it. It's one of the ones he posted about just a couple of days ago. So mark that on your calendar. And all right, until next time, everybody, take it easy.
See you, everyone.
And